All right, what it do, Octagon crew? Shout out Bedtime MMA. Apparently, I don't know. I guess he's my competition or something. Today I will be talking about how I think we can fix the UFC. You know what? Scratch that. How to fix the UFC because I'm in charge now. But first of all, what are the problems? Everyone wants to be a double champ. I know they talked about vacating belts, but this video was made before that, so we're gonna pretend that never happened, alright? No one wants to defend the belt and be active. The rankings are absolutely shot, cooked beyond belief. And Apex cards, that's my personal one. I have a thing against Apex cards. I think we can make them better. Not really a hot take. Anyways, let us all put our minds together like we have the UFC Illuminati here. You know, Hunter Campbell, Sean Shelby, Mick Maynard, Joe Rogan, Dana White, and Daniel Cormier, of course, the UFC's elites. Let's put our brains together like they would. Make a committee of two former fighters, two doctors, one coach, and one matchmaker, which is responsible for championship affairs. This will be important later, but that's our first order of business. I'm thinking TJ Dillashaw as the president and Hunter Campbell as the vice president are pretty solid picks. But obviously, I think TJ's in California. He's not in Vegas. Now, I think imposing a title defense minimum per year. I propose two. I think two is a fair number, which means you'd have to defend your belt every 6 months as a champion. I know this is an old list, but some of these things where Sean O'Malley is a champion for a calendar year with one title defense, absurd, bro. You know what I mean here? Zhang Wei Li, champion for 652 days, two title defenses. Yikes. This is, this is before John versus Stipe, 540 days, zero defenses. I think we should impose a minimum. You know what I mean? Give bonus pay to champions who defend more than two times a year. I think about 50 to 70K would be a fair amount. I'm thinking of guys like Izzy that were super active. Yes, we don't like Izzy, yada yada, but he was super active as a champion. You have to give him that. Now, if you're injured, this is where the committee comes in. You can make a case to the committee with evidence from doctors, trainers, coaches that you cannot make it through the defense. Countless champions have fought through injuries. It sucks, but it is the nature of fighting in the standard of a champion to defend his belt no matter the circumstances. That's why I give props for Islam for taking that 24-hour fight. Not a lot of champions, they say they would do that, but they really wouldn't. I mean, one of the things I think about is like Sean O'Malley. He was basically waiting for a preferable contender and for quote unquote injury. I mean, guys like Islam also fight once a year and claim injury and then not fight contenders to get out Armin. Now, yes, I know Armin pulled out with the back injury. We have to forget that guy had three opportunities to fight Armin and never did. Not as a champion, in his career in general. I mean, I think of Bisping fighting GH2 with a river injury. I mean, he was injecting himself with medication. I mean, Merab fought Umar through an awful cut in his leg, point where it's cut to the bone. Yeah, Bisping was injecting medication. I mean, he would have died, the doctor basically said. And Kane and JDS both fought each other with knee injuries, significant knee injuries. It's not optimal, but it's not unheard of to fight injured. Now, obviously, if you have a case like Bilal, where you have to get almost get your toe amputated, you cannot fight. Or like a TJ Dillashaw shoulder, you can't fight. And that's where you go plead to the committee of doctors, of knowledgeable people, and especially using evidence from your trainers. Like your trainers be like, yeah, this guy can't do his day-to-day activities, therefore he cannot defend a world title and be a world title caliber fighter. Then we can organize an interim. Instead of just getting injured, leaving everybody in the dark and white, can't defend your belt for 500 days or whatever. You know what I mean? Anyways, I think that if you don't meet these two title defenses, or if your case isn't good enough, there should be punishments. Either being stripped completely, like if you just like break your pinky toe and you're like, I can't defend my belt, yada yada, it's just a stupid case, your belt's gone. Call it unfair, but like you're a champion. Your job is not to pick fights. Your job is to defend the belt against whomever, whenever. That is your job. Say it's unfair. Or I think a 20% pay deduction on your next fight, meaning your next title defense. It all depends what the committee decides. Does the punishment fit the crime? That's why we're going to have doctors. We're going to have matchmakers, trainers, fighters. Fighters will understand your perspective. Doctors will understand the medical aspect. It's not just going to be a committee of fighters. You know what I mean? No offense to fighters, I understand, but still, timeline, recovery, all that stuff from a doctor's perspective. Now, I think for move up fights, make it a requirement to either have three title defenses or wins over five of the top six contenders within 2 years. So no one can claim they've beaten the top six, but it was like 4 years ago in some random Apex prelim when you guys weren't like on the same caliber. You know what I mean? I think that's a reasonable bar in order to get the champ shot. I mean, that help a guy like Pantoja who's basically cleaned out his division. Maybe not to the extent of 5 of 6, maybe 4 out of 6, but somewhere around there, where it's basically like you have cleaned out your division in a recent enough time where we can feasibly say you checked all the boxes you can go up. Instead of just giving guys move up fights like Islam when he fought just Volk immediately. You know what I mean? I say it was Volk's thing, but still. Now, to think of another committee. This is going to fix the rankings. Think of a committee of former fighters, MMA geniuses like Dominic Cruz and Demetrius Johnson. And I guess, who's that in the background? I believe that is Keith Chardine. Or no, Heath Herring. Sorry, I get them confused a little bit in my brain. Chuck Liddell, Forrest Griffin, Michael Bisping as well. Now, make a new committee of former fighters, preferably some who are still employed by the UFC, i.e., Cruz, Bisping, and Forrest Griffin, to establish rankings instead of media members. Trust me, it's just better this way for their own to judge their own, fighters to judge fighters. Media guys study all the film, do all the tape, but I just think it would be so much better and so much easier to defend to people if it was former fighters. I also think expanding the rankings to 20 placements, giving more of a clear tunnel from unranked to ranked. And some guys that I believe should be ranked in the UFC are Rodrigo Nascimento. He's still in the UFC apparently, and Joe Alvarez. Those are two guys that I think of. Or no, that is Marcos Rodriguez de Lima. A lot of errors in this video, but I think you guys understand my overall point though. There's a clear, with 20 spots, there's a much clearer path from signing that initial 10 and 10 contract to becoming a UFC champion. That's my thoughts. I also think expanding spots. I mean, like BSD, for example, is ranked off his potential. They'll never say it that way. It's based off like the French market and his potential to be good. But at the end of the day, the guy hasn't done anything deserving to be ranked. But with 20 placements, you could still throw him at like 18 and say potentially this guy could be ranked. You know what I mean? Potentially could be good. You could throw him there, it'd be feasible, it'd be reasonable. I also think adding pay increases with your rank, as in scaling it to like 5,000. So you get, let's say you fight up, you're number 20, you fight a guy that's you fighting up, you get rank, you get pay increases. I think you could also go fighting down as well, but giving sort of a pay increase, more of a pay incentive to actually fight up consistently and increase your rank instead of just sitting on a rank and harping. It would make a small difference, but I think that small difference would be enough to prevent people from hogging rankings like Michael Chandler and Marvin Vettori. Lastly, this is for the Apex problem. Just keep the Apex for Dana White's Contender Series and tough. That adds to the element of like the regional closeness and tension. It adds to the atmosphere. But for a UFC level fight night, it's a dump. It's stupid. There's like 100 seats. You're honestly probably losing money from Apex events because you can't turn a profit off of 100 tickets. You know what I mean? Oh, but you can hear the punches. It's stupid. Would you rather have them, you can hear the punches, or having better fights because you have more money available to spend on getting better fighters? Anyways, this is my take. Let me know your guys' ideas on how to fix the UFC. This was kind of, again, I said there'd be some filler videos. This was one of them. Thanks for watching, and God bless.